Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Freight Be Moving, all things logistics with me, Jewel Williams, your host. What a wonderful day. I hope everybody is having a great Friday. I've got some wonderful announcements for you. As promised, I am going to be having the first mastermind of mine, and it is going to take place next Thursday. That is March 9th at 12 p.m. And it is going to be about personal growth and entrepreneurship. And I'm going to be talking about 4 invaluable laws from the John Maxwell book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I'm going to be covering the law of intentionality, the law of consistency, the law of design, and the law of the ladder. Each of these laws have a great message behind them to help you as an entrepreneur build and grow your business as well as build and grow yourself. Now, if you would like to register for this webinar, I am going to have limited space. If you're watching the video, I'm going over here to my website at freightbemoving.com. That's freightbemoving.com. I will have the link in the show notes and the description. Once you get over to the website, you will see a pop-up come up. Give it about 2 to 3 seconds. And from there, you can register. You can register there with your first and last name and email, and then you will receive the registration link and where you could go on. I definitely recommend, even if you can't make the webinar, go ahead and register because I will be recording it, and those who have registered can receive the recording after the webinar is over. If you're not registered and you don't, or if you don't register, then you won't be able to get the recording. So go ahead and register. Once you register, or once you get to the website, you'll click on the registration. It'll take you to another page that'll give you some more details about the webinar. It's about growing your business and growing yourself as an entrepreneur and as a leader. Definitely look forward to everyone joining the webinar. Another event that I will be attending next week is the 2023 Logistics Summit in Savannah, Georgia. If you are in the Georgia area, if you're out there by Savannah, if you are near North Carolina, maybe even South Carolina, I think Savannah might be close to. Definitely, I hope you guys come out there, check it out. There's going to be some really good speakers that are going to be in the house talking about the logistics economy and market and plans on where Georgia plans to go. So I definitely recommend you guys come out there. Georgia has been doing this since 2009, and it has grown over the years. This will be my first year attending, and I'm really excited to just get some good information, make some great contacts, and learn about what's going on in Savannah and the logistics industry as a whole. So if you guys are in the area, I encourage you to come on down to Savannah and check this out. So what am I talking about today on the episode? Now that I got all the announcements made, we're going to be looking at some of the economic data that came out this week from the Census Bureau. And a lot of the data that came out this week are indicating where our economy has been, and it's foreshadowing a little bit about where our economy is going. So I'm going to share my screen and touch on some of these reports. I'm also going to touch on the Bureau of Economic, I think it's Bureau of Economic Analysis. And it has a report that came out about the U.S. international trade in goods and services. And I wanted to add that because it gives a little bit more insight to the other economic data. Now, as I'm going through this data, if you are a transportation professional, meaning you're a freight broker, you're a freight dispatcher, you're a truck driver, owner operator, or you're in that industry, or you own a business connected to that industry. This information can help you understand the ebbs and flow of your sales. Now, I've been learning some things about statistics, and I just want to say that one of the rules is correlation. It does not necessarily mean causation. So there may be some things that are connected. However, it may not necessarily mean they're the cause of what's happening. However, I do believe that there are some connections through this data. So let's take a look at some of this data right here. So the first one I pulled up is the U.S. International Trade in Goods and Services for December and annual 2022. It shows here that there is a deficit of 67.4 billion plus 10.5%. Now, as I understand that number to be, that means our debt has gone up and what the trade deficit is. Now, we've dropped 0.9% in exports, meaning we sent out less to other countries and we brought in more from other countries. Now, that number may change. We may start to level out as supposedly companies are going to start moving back to the United States to do their manufacturing. I have yet to find any data showing how many companies have come back and how many of those companies are actually moving product within the United States to show that there is a change. Now, the big data that came out this week was from the Census Bureau, and this data highlights a lot of the economic pieces to tell a story of how consumers are spending. For me, I'm looking at this data with the transportation lens because it identifies what is moving through the trucks, what's moving across the United States. So as we look at this data, one of the first reports they show is construction spending. Now, the chart here shows that in January 2023, there was a 0.1% change going down. So it was a minus 0.1% change. And in December, there was a minus 0.7% change. So construction spending dropped. Now, from what I understand, the construction season ends around December-ish. And I'm not quite sure when it picks up, but I would be interested to see if this number moves later on in the year when they report the next quarter. As prices seem to have gone down, however, it's not 100%. The next one is the advanced inventories. So what this number is showing that in January, inventories dropped minus 0.4%, and they were up in December 0.1%. Now, to me, that looks like a good number because that means product was selling. So with product selling, inventories dropping, that means money is moving throughout the economy. I wish it would do a breakdown, but I'm sure that that's just too much data to kind of pull together. Advanced international trade of goods shows an increase of 91.5% compared to December 89.7%. So the advanced international trade deficit in goods increased to 91.5 billion in January from 89.7 billion. So that went up. And I let me retract. I said it was percent, and that was actually in dollar volume. Then advanced retail inventories, they show a percent of increase of 0.3%. And in December, they had a 0.4% increase. So end of month inventories were $743.1 billion, up 0.3%. So I find that interesting that your retail inventories going up, however, your wholesale inventory is going down. So that tells me they moved wholesale into the retail environment. That could be a reason for that. It could be more stuff came in. There's a lot of different things that could be impacting that particular number. We also see here durable goods went down. Now, durable goods, from what I understand, that number represents the orders that manufacturers are receiving for durable goods. Durable goods being your planes, your computers, equipment, your automotives, things that are going to last us a long time. And there's not that much ordering of that. So, but I bet that's just because the ticket items, I would say, has to do with that. It also shows here new residential sales went up, even though construction didn't. And then we have some selected sales services. That's the number I wanted to look at here was new residential construction. And as you can see here, that went down. So that connected to that construction piece, and we see that that went down. So with these numbers, what this is indicating is that there's a lot of downward numbers went down significantly by 1, 2, 3, 4%. However, they only creeped up a little bit. And so we didn't have a whole lot of whole number increases in things that I think we need to have increases in. And so what that shows is the economy is kind of ebbing along. It's inching along. So as a transportation service provider, I'm sure you're seeing in your day-to-day operations very slow trickling volumes of freight. And you're probably also struggling with getting good rates for your drivers. And if you're owner operator, you're probably struggling to find good rates to move shipments. With that, with all of that happening, your strategy is about preserving your position right now. How are you maintaining your current position? Meaning keeping with your customers, making sure your customers are satisfied with what you're doing, communicating to your customers. And I want to bring in the law of intentionality. You have to be intentional about what you're doing. Be intentional about how you communicate to your customer. Be intentional about how you negotiate, how you plan out your trips. No longer leaving it to just maybe it'll happen. Let me just sit here and wait. Take the action and be intentional about your business. Now is a great time to be intentional about your planning. When things are slow, take a moment. Identify new target markets. In other words, understand that if construction was your main market that you serviced, and that, as we can see here, I'm going to scroll back up to new residential construction, we see is down 4.5%. So now you have to be intentional about identifying another industry that may be on the rise or has more volume at this time so that you can get into. Now, new residential construction probably has a cousin in infrastructure. And I know our infrastructure bill that the Biden-Harris administration released, that money is flowing into the market. So understanding where's the connection And how can you leverage what you already know, who you already know, and be intentional about engaging with those people on a regular basis to build the rapport, build the relationship, to build the business. That's where we're headed with all of this. So, with that information, it's a short day today. Didn't want to overload you with a whole lot. Definitely want to recommend one more time to go over to my website and sign up for the personal growth and entrepreneurship webinar that will be March 9th at 12 p.m. I hope to see you there. At that time, you can ask me questions, and hopefully I can add some clarity to your business and your current situation and make it a win-win situation after all. All right, that's it. Thank you for tuning in. Always appreciate you guys liking, subscribing. Add some comments down below. And if you've got questions that you want answered during the webinar, send them to me in advance. I'll be more than happy to answer them when I get on the webinar with you, and we can have a discussion. All right, have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Peace.